Okay. This came out originally, again, only in Japan, only in Japanese. It was translated by fans and ported by fans. It's a novelized, sort of choose-your-own-adventure adaptation of a first game, and it has the novelty of, and yeah, for some reason it came out for the Game Boy Advance, when until then Silent Hill was like a Sony, like a PlayStation exclusive. I think there was a PlayStation version of the plain novel as well. I could swear. I'm not even sure. The novelty with this game is that you can play from the actual perspective of the supporting character, Cybil Bennett, the police officer. And there was also some DLC where you could play as a little boy. That it's some kind of a stowaway that gets in Harry's Jeep and ends up in Silent Hill with them as well. But that was DLC, a very weird thing that I didn't even know existed. DLC in the Game Boy Advance. You had to connect some kind of modem to it and download it and play it. But since the Game Boy Advance didn't store the thing, the actual scenario is now lost media completely. There's only a few screen captures that survived from some promotional websites and stuff like that. But the actual thing is lost. Okay, let's start this with Cybil Bennett. I'm really excited about this because they have added things and they have added and expanded the lore with this, and I haven't really played through the whole thing before. Same as I did with Harry on Wednesday. I played through the whole thing for the first time with Harry, and now with Cybil. Hello? Hello? The phone had suddenly gone dead. Tried to call back right away, however the call would not go through. Perfect. I wonder what's going on. Speaking of bad voice acting, this is my dramatic reading of this. Her co-worker Sally saw Cybil's flushed face and could not help making a joke. It's because you are so hostile. I bet they just don't want to talk to you anymore. Hostile. Perhaps after all I do, perhaps after all I do, always say what's on my mind. Perhaps after all I do, always say what's on my mind. I don't know what this is. The translation is a bit sketchy because again it was made by fans from Japanese. I don't know if I'm just unable to read this or it is kind of weird. Saying this, Cybil smiled. The peaceful town of Brahms. The population is small, and perhaps for this reason there has not been an incident worth calling an incident for several years. Years! Jesus, even a little town should have an incident, not that... You know what I mean. As for the officers on the night shift, they generally pass the time by staring at the newspaper clippings or chatting with colleagues at other departments. Even now, with nothing notable appearing in the local news, Cybil was just having a meaningless conversation about this and that with a friend in the Silent Hill Police Department. But then suddenly the line had gone dead, and they had not called back. Call won't go through. Maybe this is happening because someone is trying to tell you not to waste all your time chatting? How about settling down and taking your feet off the desk? Cybil does not care for Sally's big sister-like attitude. That's gonna be tricky. In the Harry scenario, sometimes it's not indicated who is talking, but I guess because of the context, because of a lot of the dialogue was straight from the game. But here I don't know if I'm ever gonna know who is talking. Cybil calls the Silent Hill police station one more time. Odd, Cybil thought. It seems as if this might be the result of telephone lines having been severed or something. Cybil leaps from her chair, causing it to spin, reaches for the helmet on top of a locker, and with it in hand prepares to leave the room. Wait, just where do you think you're going at this hour? Sally has a look of "you've got to be kidding" on her face, and then she absent-mindedly allows the coffee cup she was holding in her right hand to fall to the floor. What? Ah, hot! You can take care of that yourself, Cybil mumbles in her head, and in the next moment ran out of the room. Cybil straddles the motorcycle in the garage, inserts the key and revs the engine. The sound of the exhaust resonates in the small space. She pulls out onto the road and increases her speed as she's bathed from head to toe in the uncomfortably warm wind. Starlight falls upon her from the clear starlit sky. It doesn't look like the weather could have caused a problem with the phone lines. Cybil tightly holds on to the handlebars and continues to increase her speed. At this hour, there should not be any other cars heading to Silent Hill. The road has been lit in front and behind only by street lamps since she reached the mountain road. And there is no sign of anyone in this area. However, after a while she was able to see the taillights of a vehicle swaying far off in the darkness in front of her. This is a cliff on one side of the road. There is a cliff. I cannot read. Whether they realize that or not, the vehicle is heading toward the same destination as Cybil at high speed. Normally I would pull this guy over. Cybil mutters this, increases her speed, and catches up with a four-wheel drive jeep in no time. She passes it. Cybil glances inside the jeep, for a moment quickly smiles, and then blasts in front of it. Jeep quickly becomes smaller and smaller in the side mirrors of her motorcycle. And then she started to notice that she could not keep her eyes focused. Sleepiness? No, I have been on the night shift for a while and should have gotten plenty of sleep this afternoon. Her body becomes one with the motorcycle and it slices through the darkness. Maybe it was foolish to wear short sleeves. Although it was rather warm when Cybil left the station, now her skin feels so cold that it is like the cold is cutting into her. Her eyelids are heavy. Her mouth has become dry. What's wrong with me? She lightly shakes her head left and right. Against her will, her right hand turns the grip that will cause her to accelerate. The needle is buried and madly shakes back and forth. What needle? Cybil then stared straight forward. She runs into Alyssa too. That should not be a thing? Question mark. But it was already too late. In the middle of the road, a girl stood with her arms raised to shield herself from the light. Cybil slammed on the brakes. The last thing she saw was the rapidly approaching rock wall on the side of the road. Ita? What the hell is that? Onomatopoeia for the feeling of cold. Okay, if you say so, in Japanese I imagine. How is that an onomatopoeia for feeling cold? Like, shouldn't have been replaced by brr or something. That's very strange, but okay, I guess I'll blame the translation. Something cold is touching Cybil's cheek. Cybil slowly opened her eyes. Where am I? Oh, I said that. I said that like Harry. Well, I cannot do Cybil's voice, but she's not yet able to stand up. She does not seem to be hurt, however, her body will not do as she commands. Nevertheless, she is fully conscious. Large snowflakes are falling all over her body. She's lying face down in the middle of a wide street. I wonder just how long have I been here like this? After waiting for the nerves throughout her body to return to normal, Cybil lumbered to her feet. Her body was sluggish, like when she wakes up, and she was unable to think straight. Silent Hill. That is what is written on the sign on the sidewalk. In addition to the out-of-season snow, the area is enveloped in thick fog, which generally makes her destination look differently than it normally would. The motorcycle that she came here on was also nowhere to be found. With nothing else to do, she decided to rest in the cafe facing the street. Are we gonna run into Harry? Are we gonna tell his side of the story too here? The inside of the cafe is dead silent. She does not see any customers or employees. This destroys her hopes of getting something warm to drink, so she lets out a sigh. First, I must get in contact with the other officers back in Brahms. Cybil picks up the receiver from the phone on the corner of the counter, but not a single sound can be heard from the speaker. It seems like somehow the heavy snowfall, which could be called abnormal weather, has damaged the communication systems. There is no doubt that this is the reason why the call got cut off at the Brahms station. Cybil looks around the inside of the cafe. Ah. She gasps without thinking about it. She can see a man lying down on one of the long bench seats lined up along the windows. A customer? No, this place isn't open. How did you enter if it wasn't open? She moves near him and looks down at his sleeping face. His face is twisting in agony as if he's having a frightening dream. Cybil hesitates. Should I just wait? Cybil was relieved to know that she was not the only person in the town. She sat down at a counter and waited for the man to awaken. After a bit, Cybil thought that the man's breathing had become troubled. As she thought this, he forcefully sat up. Oh, Harry. Cybil moved over to the man until she was able to look down at him and then folded her arms. She was relieved. That was how she honestly felt. It looks like you have come around. Who are you? The man asked this while heavily shaking his head. I'm Cybil. Cybil Bennett. All communication with this town suddenly went dead. This worried me, so I came here to investigate. I'm Harry Mason. I brought my daughter to this town for some sightseeing, but on the way there was an accident and I lost consciousness. Oh yeah, Cybil, you haven't seen a little girl in this town, have you? For a moment Cybil could not hide her astonishment, but then, because of her profession, she quickly feigned a more resolute attitude. A little girl? No, I haven't seen her. What about the one that you almost ran over? When I came to after the accident, my daughter was nowhere to be seen. Oh, that's Harry. The passenger door was open and she was gone. Cheryl, sorry, my daughter's name is Cheryl. She's a timid child, so it's hard to imagine that she headed out into this weird town alone. Plus, I was there in the driver's seat. And since she gave me no warning, it just doesn't make sense. Are you familiar with this area? There's no sign of anyone. And what is going on with the snow at this time of year? Just what in the world has happened in this town? Harry spoke while sighing. I'm afraid I don't know either. I still haven't seen anyone other than you. It's like the town is as silent as a graveyard, left without even the means to contact any neighboring towns. I see. So you also had an accident? Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay. I thought it was a good idea to head to the police station in this town alone on my motorcycle, but I guess I was going a little too fast. A girl suddenly jumped out into the road. I am pretty sure it was a girl. I almost hit her. I cut the handlebars hard in order to avoid her. He just asked you about a girl and you said you saw no girl and now you remember the girl. After that I can barely remember anything. When I came to, I was lying in the street in front of his cafe. So naturally I came in here to get out of the snow. And then I found you sleeping here. I was having some kind of a terrible dream. As for if I made it here on my own, I don't remember at all. Just what in the world has happened in this town? What is going on with everything? Well, the situation is definitely strange. I will head back to Bram's for reinforcement, and then return here. How about you? Cybil stood and fixed her collar with resolute fortitude. I've got to look for Cheryl. There is no way I can just leave her here alone. I see. Well, I'll give you this then. I don't know if this little music's kind of loud. Well, I'll give you this then. You never know what might happen under these circumstances. If you feel threatened, then pull the trigger without hesitating. Yeah, great advice, Cybil. She gives Harry, especially when they still don't know what's going on. She gives Harry a handgun loaded with live ammunition. Will you be alright? Harry asks worriedly. This line again. I'm not like the average girl around here. I have undergone the proper training. Cybil placed her hand on the exit door, but then she turned and faced Harry again. Harry? Don't go shooting me by mistake or anything. I haven't had any extra training on how to stop bullets. She smiled after saying this, opened the door of the cafe, and then headed out into the thick fog. Cybil looks back and sees that the cafe has disappeared into the fog. What? Not literally disappeared, right? Having lost her motorcycle, Cybil can only wander about on foot and alone in the eerie town. It's too quiet. There's no sense of anyone at all. I would like to hail a taxi or something, but there's not a single car running. At some point Cybil had begun to run. Above all, she must get out of Silent Hill. However, after running for a bit, Cybil's hopes were crushed. All the roads leading out of town were cut off, and it was as if the entire town was floating in the air. There was no way for anyone to enter the town. Ah! What the fuck is that? Cybil sighs deeply. Okay, that was a sigh. She then decides to try going back the way she came. After running for a bit, she comes to another steep valley like before. It is wide and impedes her passage, and then she became sure that it was not possible to escape from this place. Cybil felt like a bird in a cage as she walked apathetically and aimlessly through the falling snow. It was not long before a back-wriggling object appeared in her field of vision. What is that? It's a dog. From off in the fog, a four-legged thing moved at a slow pace as it gradually closed the distance between it and her. And then as soon as it detected Cybil, it began to ferociously run towards her, scattering the fog as it moved. The monster. Why? This is a weird decision for me to make. Why do I have to decide what the monster does? It's probably gonna attack me, isn't it? Should I save? God. Let's say it attacked. Yeah. Cybil just manages to duck in time as the fierce monster passes over her head. It continues forward just a little bit and then turns around. It is clear that it's coming after Cybil. Cybil places her hand on her belt to draw her handgun. She utters, "Oh!" She had just given her handgun to Harry not long ago, but she has another one. Later in the game she has a different gun. What the hell is that about? She went pale. Cybil forcefully stands up and begins to run with all her strength. The sound of the monster's footsteps and its panting close in on her as it persistently chases her from behind. She stomps on the pavement as she moves forward. In the corner of her eye, Cybil sees buildings appear out of and disappear into the fog. And at some point she ends up losing her bearings and becomes unsure of her location. She then notices that she no longer senses the presence of a monster. She stops and leans against an antique lamppost and presses on her chest. She waits as the time between her continuous white breaths gradually increases, and then begins walking again. Cybil. What a choice again. This could be interesting to explore, but this is a very weird choice to make. Should I be hopeless already? That's weird. Being unable to escape from Silent Hill, Cybil then worried about what she should do next. Since all the people have vanished, she cannot even talk to anyone about what's happening here. I should look for the police station. Even if the person I was talking on the phone with earlier isn't there, I might be able to get some other information there. She's probably gonna get a gun in there. She has visited this town many times. Following the thread of her memory, she begins walking along the complicated intersecting streets. Oh, this is a nice render. Harry didn't really come here in his scenario. He does in the main game, but not in this game. Just how long have I been walking? As she saw the word police appear from out of the fog, her entire body was completely exhausted. She opens the glass door at the entrance and heads inside. As she does this, she sees that no one is here, which is just as she had expected. Lack of any sound is painful to her ears. After she walked around the reception area for a bit, she moved towards the room that the door had been left open for. The plate beside the door said meeting room. Compared to the same room at the Bram station, this one's quite small. She looked around at the room. Ah? Okay, this is an interesting choice as well. I don't want to go saving so much, but if someone's... who could be here? Cybil senses somewhere in this small room, underneath the lined up tables, behind the folding chairs. Cybil cautiously checked all the places that someone could hide in, but it does not appear that anyone is here. The faded ceiling fan is blowing air down towards Cybil. That might have been what made her so sure someone was here, or perhaps it was just her imagination. She's uneasy. She wants to talk to someone, to anyone. These feelings might be what made Cybil think that someone was here. What was all that about? Cybil left the police station. Cybil is once again in the city streets where the snow is falling. Maybe we should try the phone then, if that didn't lead anywhere. Let's try the phone. Two long simple folding tables are lined up next to each other in this room, which is about 140 square feet in size. Folding chairs surround the tables. The disorderly state of the chairs makes the empty station seem unnatural. Just the chairs are unnatural, there are monsters outside. You're worried about the chairs? A telephone is on top of a small wooden desk that has been placed in the corner of the room. The telephone receiver is dangling in the air just above the floor, as if it had fallen off. It is bouncing up and down. I wondered if this is the phone that I was connected to. Cybil hangs the receiver up, but then picks it back up again and places it against her ear. Of course it's not working. The problem is that the police station is completely empty. Even Cybil, who had been skeptical about the condition of the town up to this point, now had to accept things as they were. She thought, something terrible has happened here. There is a phone. A scribbled memo has been placed next to it, and thank God I came back here, because I'm here for the lore, not to just be led in weird directions. Did I memorize that? Why is that censored? 38 asterisk 2647 asterisk. Welcome back, Morning Zombie. I'm actually dialing a weird number that I found in a dead phone. Why? What's the point? A rabbit in real life? That? Like a pet? Cybil hastily repositions the telephone receiver. Daddy? Cheryl! This is Cheryl, right? I am looking for you. Can you hear me? Dad, help me! The telephone is muddled, so Cybil cannot hear it very clearly. Cheryl! I'm coming to help you now. Tell me where you are. In the elementary school? The phone went dead. What was that all about? Cybil left the police station. This is very weird. I'm very gamey that I suddenly find a weird number and dial it in a dead phone, and then I just hit Cheryl. Cybil is once again in the city streets where the snow is falling. That's right. Cybil recalled her conversation with Harry. Oh yeah, Cybil, you haven't seen a little girl in this town, have you? A little girl. Yes, Cheryl. I wonder if I will be able to rescue her unharmed in this town, which has become a nest of monsters. You didn't even know at that time. Okay, but Cybil is a police officer. To find and protect Cheryl is her responsibility and her mission. Realizing this, Cybil could not sit still, and in the next moment she was gone. What? There should be an elementary school on the edge of town. Cybil followed her intuition and decided that Cheryl probably headed for the school after wandering in town. For her training in child psychology, she has learned that if a child loses her parent or guardian, then the chance is high that they will be drawn to places they are most used to going, places where there are a lot of people. However, ahead of all her knowledge, either a bit instinctively or due to a sense of similar to that of a memory coming back, she believed somewhere within her heart that Cheryl was probably at the elementary school. It's not like, well, probably this is written in case you don't get the phone call. But Cheryl said elementary school on the phone. Cybil may have been drawn here by someone, As she nears the elementary school, part of her shirt becomes soaked with clammy sweat. Is it really okay to go inside? She asks herself this many times. As she reached the edge of the school grounds, her conscientious sense of duty as a police officer rose up within her, along with her sense of reason, and she began to walk naturally towards the school. It is now too late for her to turn back. She readies herself, and then using both hands she pushes the door in front of her open with all her strength. The H building reeked of a peculiar mildew. However, its insides were much cleaner than she had expected, and Cybil found this a bit surprising. It's a school, why do you expect it to be dirty? Perhaps it was just a result of her enduring the cold wind for so long, but she had a terrible headache. Cybil pressed her fingers to her temples and eventually began to walk aimlessly again. Cybil opened a door leading to a long hallway. She looked through the glass windows placed in the doors of the classrooms while slowly walking. There was no sign of Cheryl. The courtyard is to her right. The landscaping is very nice and has been well cared for. The snow has become sleet. It does not look like it will accumulate. In the back of the courtyard there is an old-feeling clock tower. However, Cybil is not particularly interested in it. I wonder how Harry is doing. It's weird because Harry also comes to the school first. They should like run into each other or something. They do run into each other in other places of the game, but I feel like Cybil shouldn't be here. Because at this same time, Harry is also here. I wonder if the gun I gave him has come in handy. If I cannot meet with Harry after I find Cheryl, then it will be meaningless. She should have taken a gun from the police station, now that I think about it. We should have, I mean Cybil, not Cheryl, obviously. Well, we should have made plans to rendezvous somewhere. Cybil thought this, but at this point nothing could be done. At any rate, there was her horrible headache. It is gradually getting worse, dulling her sense of time and space. Mine is luckily almost completely gone. I still have some pain in the back of my neck, but it's been there since the last days of September. Been a literal pain. A sluggishness similar to sleepiness grasps her entire body. Perhaps I'm just dreaming all of this, Cybil thought. It is difficult for a person to tell whether they are dreaming or not while they are in a dream. But for her to accept these conditions is just as difficult. Dan, hey. Yeah, it's true. And in this game they have a sort of a headache when the world itself is transitioning into the other world. There's the fog world, and then there's the dark world where everything's like rusty and all the monsters appear. So I think that's what the headache is about. She has no memory of how she got to this town, so it seemed natural for her to think that she had been in a deep sleep since the moment of a motorcycle accident until now. Or possibly from even before then? From the time of a phone call with the Silent Hill police station? Or maybe, while contemplating the many possibilities, Cybil climbed the stairs to the second floor of the school. Oh, I thought this animation was going down, but I guess it works both ways. And then this game has the weirdest choices. How am I going to choose between if I hear a melody or I hear a scream? Those shouldn't be my choices. Something should happen and I should choose what to do, but how do I choose this? Let's just try the scream. Such a weird system for this game. Suddenly Cybil heard the scream of a little girl in front of her. What? A nervous look ran across Cybil's face. Cheryl? A scream? That could mean... However, there was also a feeling of relief deep inside Cybil's heart. The presence of another human. Someone else who could sympathize with her about this isolated world. Cybil begins to run. It doesn't matter to her whose voice that was, and she runs down the long hallway praying that they are okay. As she approached a certain room, Cybil noticed something. These choices are weird. I should just encounter whatever I encounter. I should choose what I do, not... Yeah, also, this is a fan-made translation. This was translated by fans from Japanese because this game never came out outside of Japan. And I think it wasn't even translated by an actual native English-speaking person, so it was like... It's kind of like me. I'm reading whatever is there. What the hell should I choose here? The choices are very weird. Through the small window in the door, Cybil thought that she saw a small figure swaying back and forth. She stops moving. This is... music room? That is what's written on the door. He opens the door without hesitation and rushes into a room. You! Oh my god, it's Cheryl! In the corner of the room, a white-faced girl was sitting still and just looking at Cybil. She appeared to be afraid of something, and her wide eyes were filled with tears that looked like jewels. I mean, this shouldn't happen, because when Cybil meets Harry again, she tells him she hasn't found Cheryl. Except once, she says that she sees him from afar, and she just walks away, and she cannot catch up with her. It's weird to run into her now. This cannot be canon, but okay. Yeah, no, I get it. I've some sentences here are even hard to read because sometimes the grammar is not there. But it's been a great effort, I guess, for making this game available for the entire Western world. So she appeared to be afraid of something. This is no shit, and her wide eyes were filled with tears that looked like jewels. Were you the one that screamed? The little girl does not answer. Cybil swallows and looks at the little girl again. Cheryl? Are you Cheryl? Cybil regained her composure and approached the little girl. She kneeled and softly placed her hands on the girl's shoulders, and the girl nodded. My name is Cybil. Your daddy is looking for you. If we don't hurry back to him... Your daddy is braving danger running around this town. Have you seen that ferocious looking monster? Like, what a great thing to tell a little girl. Have you seen all the weird, gruesome monsters outside? Cheryl? Why should I decide for Cheryl now? Again, this game... At some point it had me decide what a monster was going to do. Why is that a thing? Has she seen the monsters? She should have seen the monsters, but I think in her innocence... Not that this has to make any sense, but children don't see the monsters because they're innocent? Question mark. I think that's the thing with Laura in the second game. But it's a very strange choice for me to make. Let's say no. Cheryl shakes her head no. I see. Well, at any rate, something strange is happening in this town. All the people have completely vanished. If we don't get out of here soon, then we might disappear as well. Once again, Cheryl shakes her head no. Cybil does not understand what Cheryl means, but continues anyway. I will protect you. Let's go to your daddy. It is my duty to take you to him. Saying this, Cybil takes Cheryl's hand in hers, and they leave the music room. By chance, the two of them happen to look out a window. From where they are, the visible courtyard has become completely enveloped in darkness. For it to become night so soon. For a moment Cybil cannot believe her eyes, but then she was only able to worry about whether she would be able to meet Harry. The two of them walk down the pitch-black hallway. This could use some visuals. This game is not even trying sometimes. Because of the difference in their strides, their footsteps overlap as they echo. At the moment they approached the entrance of the school grounds, Cheryl spoke directly for the first time. I don't want to live here. I don't want to see my daddy. What? Cheryl, for fuck's sake, is this supposed to be canon? If we meet, there will be sadness. What are you talking about? Does Cheryl really wants to be reunited with Alessa or something? What the frick? You should go back, ma'am. Cheryl is supposed to be innocent, not creepy. Why are they making her creepy? Cybil stopped walking and spoke while just staring at Cheryl. It's your daddy. There's no reason that it would be sad for you to see him. If you stay here, then you might get hurt or worse. Things would then be truly sad. Saying that, Cybil begins walking again. After a bit she stops and adds, "It's miss, not ma'am." And then the two of them left the school. That's a very strange exchange. I was not expecting it. Again, this is kind of like the story of the original 1999 game, told from the perspective of a supporting character. Cybil is not a protagonist. This is an alternate scenario in this kind of choose your own adventure adaptation. Just what time is it now? Cybil curses the fact that she forgot her watch at the Brown station. It's probably late at night. She no longer feels the headache or sleepiness from just before. Holding Cheryl's cold hand, Cybil focuses her mind in locating Harry. She figured that Harry was no longer in the cafe, but wonders if maybe he left a memo or something there for her. Compared to Harry, Cybil should know the geography of Silent Hill better because of her profession. However, because of the darkness and thick fog that limit her field of vision, she is in a situation in which it is difficult to know even her current position. She had encountered a strange monster on her way to the school, and now she did not have much confidence in being able to find her way back to the cafe. The sky began to get light while Cybil walked and contemplated the route. Anyway, to the cafe. This made her think that perhaps time is rapidly passing in this town alone. Although the fog was present as ever to decrease visibility, she could see a lot better now. It's daytime again, and then before she knew it, the cafe was right in front of her. Something isn't right. Cybil feels a sense of discord within her. However, her feet continued on, as if guided by strong power, to the inside of the cafe. Cybil led Cheryl through the entrance of the cafe. It's weird to be dragging Cheryl around these places where Harry has been. The inside of the cafe had been ravaged. The glass windows facing the street were broken and several tables were knocked on their sides, so Cybil could not move any further in. Oh my god. I wonder if Harry is alright. A red pool of liquid reflects vividly in Cybil's eyes. She prayed that it was not Harry's blood. Harry, it's me. Cybil. I found Cheryl. If you are here, then please come out. There's no answer. Cybil had begun to step forward, but then gasped with a Just what is this? The corpse of a brown-colored monster that Cybil had never seen before lies in the center of a pool of red liquid. Several shells were scattered about, which meant that Harry probably had a battle here. Since Harry was no longer here, she guessed that she defeated this monster and then left to search for Cheryl. Is he hurt? Cybil. I don't even know what should I choose anymore. Cybil cautiously searches the monster. There's no doubt about it. The bullets lodged inside the monster's body were the ones loaded into the handgun that she had given Harry. Okay. Normally this shouldn't have gone all the way through. The bullets told a tale about the endurance and hardness of the monster. The bullets scattered about on the floor supported this, and as they gave Cybil the feeling that they had just hit the hard skin of the monster and then bounced off. Other than this, there did not appear to be anything else out of the ordinary. Well, your dad is not here. Let's look someplace else. Cybil took Cheryl's hand, and without a word they rushed out into the snowy street once again. A church bell is ringing. The bell rings forcefully, almost as if it had been waiting for them to leave the cafe. There are still other people here? Cybil's eyes glittered. This might be Harry's way of telling me where he is. And even if it's not Harry, if there's someone still in town, then she would like to meet them and hear what they have to say. Cybil's feet naturally pointed towards the church. Expecting to find a clue to escaping and reuniting with Harry, she tightly gripped Cheryl's hand and began to run. Once they arrived at the church, the ringing stopped, and the large door at the entrance began to open from the inside. Cybil then thought that perhaps someone had been watching her movements all this time. She looked up at the top of the church and then began to look around, nervous, until a voice saying, "This way," brought her back to her senses. Are we going to meet Dahlia too? Okay. Cybil faced the eerie woman from a distance. Until the boat, Cybil doesn't really meet Dahlia, right? The woman once more called out to Cybil, "This way." Cybil mysteriously moved towards the woman. Were you the one ringing that bell? Cool, hold on, I'm about to pay for a chuckle. You could have said just ha 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 or something. The translation is weird. The woman's face suddenly twisted and she began laughing loudly. She saw Cybil's perplexed expression, but thought nothing of it and just waved her hand left and right in front of Cybil's face. "I have been waiting for you. You have come just as I expected." What? Dahlia's expecting Harry. She's not expecting Cybil, right? I guess this is just for the sake of enhancing the scenario and giving... But Dahlia shouldn't say things that shouldn't be a thing. Cybil cocked her head to the side. "Do you live here?" The woman nodded and then looked at Cheryl. "Do we have... Wait. You have done well to come here. Right, we have Cheryl with us. Dahlia is meeting Cheryl too now? What the fuck is happening? You have done well to come here. You know, don't you, that it was my doing that caused... And you were hesitant to come alone, weren't you? But in the end I was able to meet you. It is all thanks to that woman." I don't understand what you're talking about. Cybil's words may or may not have reached her, but that woman began to laugh loudly again. Hey, tell me, why are there no people here? Why are all the exits from town blocked? Ow. I do not know either. But shouldn't you be asking that girl instead? Dahlia doesn't know. Cybil had a look of what on her face. She looked at Cheryl. Cheryl's face was tearful and she shook her head back and forth. I mean, Dahlia wants to use Cheryl as well. She should be trying to get her to reunite her with Alyssa or something. She wouldn't just be standing here talking like... Anyway, Cybil looked back at that woman and shouted at her. Stop all this nonsense. We have been pursued by monsters and nearly killed. If I was not protecting this child, then who knows what would have happened to her by now. Oh god, and here comes Dahlia with her bullshit. The path of the wise man, the fool guided to this land through astrology. Everything has been preordained. There is nothing that I can do. You are not holding that child's hand. That child is holding yours. Her anger showing, Cybil went to open her mouth. But at that moment the woman blocked her. I am Dahlia Gillespie. With that in hand, I wonder, well, what? With that in hand, I wonder where you will end up going. I have nothing for you, and nothing to tell you. You must escape from the demon's grasp as soon as possible. You must find the means to do so for your own sake. There is nothing I can do now. I will pray for your safety. Cybil Bennett. Cybil was shocked to be called by name. As she watched Dahlia quickly depart, she was unable to speak. Why Dahlia just leaves and... not Cybil, but Cheryl. Why Dahlia wouldn't... Where is she? Yeah, I guess it was never really answered where Cheryl is, because it's almost like they are both looking for her. Dahlia doesn't necessarily have her, and neither does Harry. I don't know. Anyway, after Dahlia disappeared behind the door, Cybil regained herself. This is very weird to me. She tightly held Cheryl's hand, and they left the church. Right after they left the church, Cheryl began to speak. Hey, miss. I am fine by myself now. This is not my first time coming here, and I have met that lady we just saw before. Cybil stops in surprise. What do you mean? I have a place that I want to go, but I can only go alone. If you are with me, I won't be able to go, and then something terrible is sure to happen. I hate this. Cheryl should be innocent. She shouldn't be creepy. Something terrible? Why? Your daddy's looking for you. Until I get you back to your daddy, I cannot leave your side. You're wrong. My daddy must not find me. Someone is waiting for me. In order to meet that person, I... Cybil let out a short sigh. Okay, let's save here just in case. Just in case we can try a couple of... Let's just try this. Just stop it and be quiet. Cybil snapped at Cheryl. A child like you should not be left alone in a dangerous town like this. Please do not be so difficult. I'm a police officer. This is my job, to return you to your daddy. Please understand. Once more, Cybil began to walk down the foggy street with Cheryl in tow. At first, Cheryl resisted holding Cybil's hand as hard as she could, but once she realized this was futile, she reluctantly followed along behind Cybil, while wiping away her tears. Cheryl muttered something so that it could not be heard. What the hell is this choice? After walking for a bit, the two of them started to notice that the murmuring of water had begun to interfere with their conversation. Huh? Cheryl stopped walking. Water was splashing from the strong current of the old aqueduct through the white fog. Due to bad weather, the water level had risen up to the fortified concrete embankment. So rather than an aqueduct, this was more like an overflowing river that was in a dangerous state. What's that? What kind of choice is this? What the fuck is this game doing to me? Should I save just in case? The boy, the boy. That's Andy. That's Andy from the Andy scenario. The Andy scenario in this game is lost again because it was like DLC in the Game Boy Advance era, and the Game Boy Advance had to connect to download it, but it wouldn't store it. So we don't have this is lost. This is literally lost media, the actual Andy scenario. But he appears here in the Cheryl scenario. A boy stood alone in the current. He was fighting in the current and appeared to be holding on to a fragile protrusion with all his might. This is so weird to me. Miss, look! Cheryl screamed, broke away from Cybil's hand, and then began to run toward the boy. Cheryl, that is dangerous! Cybil instantly chased after her. A stone barrier runs parallel to the aqueduct. It is about shoulder width and about the height of a child. Falling to the right from this barrier could result in injury, and falling to the left would probably result in being swallowed up by the current. Cheryl nimbly ran along the top of a narrow barrier. Wait, that is dangerous! Her words were ineffective. Using her innate physical prowess, Cybil got on top of a barrier. However, she could not run along it as nimbly as Cheryl. By the time Cybil caught up to Cheryl, she was lying prone on top of a barrier and reaching out towards the embankment, trying to grasp the boy's hair. Why would you pull the hair? That's dangerous, you will fall in. It's too much for you. We will save this boy. Help me, miss. Please. Cybil lightly jumps down onto the embankment side and is again surprised by the strength of the current. Cheryl is leaning out halfway and looks as if she could fall at any moment and be swallowed by the dark waters. Cheryl, you stay right here and don't move. I will be sure to save him. Cheryl says nothing and just stares at Cybil. Cybil's footing is quickly being eaten away by the strong current. As long as the snow continues to pour into the entire town, the aqueduct will certainly continue to overflow. Again, I don't even know if I can die in this game. The water is up to Cybil's knees. The water pulls at her legs. Cybil reaches her hand towards the boy. The boy's face is covered in white splashes, so Cybil cannot see it very well. What? Everything's alright, don't worry. Cybil shouts out to give the boy hope. But the boy just appears to be caught on the protrusion like a rag, and perhaps that is the best way to describe him. Cybil eventually grasps the boy's left arm, and is relieved a little. Everything's fine, trust me, Cybil says kindly. However, the current of the water is faster than she had imagined. Pulling the boy against the current will not be easy. There is nowhere to grab on, so she cannot put any strength into it. The freezing cold is robbing her body of its warmth, and her fingertips are going numb. Miss, it's impossible. You too will be swept away by the current. Cheryl calls out to Cybil from behind. Cybil has a maternal feeling that she must save this boy, even if it means she will end up getting swept away. We'll be okay, just a little more. Got it. Cybil gets a firm grasp on the boy's arm and then successfully pulls his small body up. This is very weird. Ah, Craig, are you okay? The boy does not answer right away and just takes troubled breaths over and over. It's not surprising because he just nearly drowned. Yeah, no shit. The boy remained crouched for a bit, but then finally began to speak. You were the one that pushed me in. From seeing that look of surprise in Cybil's face, the boy changed his words. Not you, her. It was that child. The boy rushes at Cheryl. Before Cybil could even think to stop him, the boy grabbed Cheryl's arm and pulled her towards the current. Shit. What the fuck is happening? What are you doing? Stop it now! What do you know? Why don't you tell her to stop? Cheryl falls in the water and begins to be swept away by the strong current. Oh my fucking god. She would have to question the boy later. Cybil stomps as she runs along the concrete to keep up with Cheryl. Cheryl! Ah! Cybil's weak shouts were replaced by the sound of the water splashing. She slips and ends up in a whirlpool of the strong current and is swallowed in the dark waters along with Cheryl. That's it? That's all we're gonna see of Auntie? Everything is dark. There's not even a single sound. Cybil cannot tell whether her eyes are open or closed. The hand gripping Cybil's hand suddenly moved. I may have used you, miss. Cybil made a face like, what? And immediately asked, what are you saying? That's why I was against it. You're a good person, so I didn't want you to get wrapped up in this. But in the end, I have made you suffer. I guess that is the same thing as getting you involved. Cybil smiles. I have said it many times, but it is my job to get you back into your father's custody. Getting me involved or whatnot is not a problem. You are wrong, miss. Silence flows between the two of them. As for what Daddy will do and so on, those are issues that do not even compare to what I'm dealing with. My own personal issue. It's something that I should never, ever tell anyone. Something very important. I have thought about it for so long. This is a 7-year-old child, I know. She's half Alyssa's soul or whatever, but she shouldn't be creepy. I've been confused by it for so long. However, maybe I can tell you about it, miss. The reason why there is no one in town. Okay. The reason why I don't want to see my daddy. And also my true... Once again, there is silence. You're true? You're true what? Do you know something? However, that question is not answered. Oh, okay, it was too good to be true. And then the low sound of a motor runs through the floor and causes a slight quiver in Cybil's stomach. To her front, she has only a glimpse of a single shaft of light. The light thinly extends up and down and eventually expands to left and right, revealing a small room. It's an elevator. The elevator doors have opened wide and it sits ready, almost as if it has come for Cybil. Cybil and the girl are lit by its light. And then Cybil felt the grip of the girl. He was holding on to become weak. No, wait, an illusion? No, the two of us are definitely holding hands. Cybil looked toward the girl. Her entire body was paralyzed with a chill. Powerlessly, Cybil sunk down in that very spot. Her vision is hazy. The color drains from her entire body. The girl is not there in the light. The thing that Cybil is holding on to, it is Sybil suppressed a shriek. This... What? Again, why do I... These are not things I should choose. This game is weirder than the original. It was a green jelly-like object. What the hell is that? Was a slightly dirty but familiar door. Familiar how? What is even a green jelly-like object? Let's try that. Okay. At least there is a visual for this. It means... got to mean something. It was an unknown green jelly-like object. Sybil instantly stands up. It drips down in strands through the spaces between Sybil's fingers, connecting her hand with the tiles of the floor. She wasn't able to do anything but watch, and then the final drop hit the floor. Sybil then powerlessly kneeled down. What was that girl's name? It was a name she had said many times, but for some reason Sybil could not remember it. Sybil closed her eyes and remained there frozen. Where the hell are we? I'm losing my mind. She sobbed alone inside the elevator. The town, along with the lives of several people, had been swallowed up within the devil's dark garb. Inside the small box out of the elevator, she calmed her breathing while shaking her shoulders hard. First of all, I should look for Harry, and then work with him to escape from this wretched world. Quite a bit of time passed since the one lamp had gone out on the floor display. From the vibrations she could tell that she was descending, but even still she had gone on for too long. Staring at the display of B1, she had pushed her back against the wall and slumped. Is there something in the basement of this building, deep in the ground? And if Cybil was brought here, then what was the reason? They could have done so much more with this. I feel like if we're already being sent to the conclusion of this, she should have run into Harry again. She should have... so much else should have happened. But eventually the elevator begins to gradually slow its descent, and at the same time that it comes to a complete stop, the B1 lamp lights up. And then its doors open. Sybil duly feels this series of movements. With the doors open, the light that illuminates a passage that extends in front of her pours into the elevator. Sybil begins to walk forward. It almost looks like that light is supporting her from behind. It is cold. Although she is just walking down a corridor that is like one in a jail, Sybil's heart beats irregularly. Eventually a single door appears. The passage ends with this door. Perhaps all the mysteries of B1 will lie in this room. I don't want to get you wrapped up in this. The voice of a girl flitted about in the back of Sybil's mind. What was the girl's goal? And where is Harry? Perhaps Harry has come here in the same manner as well? Or... she had a feeling that by opening this door, the many questions whirling about in her head would be put to rest. Sybil summoned forth her courage and placed her hand on the door. Ah, it is hot, and Sybil immediately takes her hand off the knob. Something is burning beyond this door. It is impossible to open this door by hand. Just from touching the door, the palm of Sybil's hand suddenly hurts, stingingly hurts. She kicks the door with all her might. With a hopeful feeling, she continues to kick the door over and over with the thick sole of her boot. Finally, the knob breaks, and the door forcefully opens inward. At the same time, hot wind singes Sybil's hair. And then Sybil saw it. The room is about as large as a movie theater. Fire has spread all throughout, and it has begun to collapse. Beyond the debris and flames, a man is holding something to his chest and heading towards another exit in order to get out. and just as he reached the exit, the vigorously burning flames lit the side of his face. It was... again, fuck, I shouldn't choose between these things. Can I... What happens if I say it's not Harry? It's not Harry. It is a slightly plump middle-aged man. It's gonna be Kaufman? That man is holding what looks like a white paper bag to his chest and is running out of a room. Wait! Cybil screams. The man glances towards her but continues rushing out. Cybil begins to run in order to chase him, but almost stumbles over something and then stops in her tracks. Someone is collapsed at her feet. A girl dressed in white clothing is lying face down, and her back moves up and down along with her breathing. Cybil stops, kneels down, and places her hand on the girl's shoulder. Are you okay? If you stay here, you will be burned to death. Hurry and get up! The girl just remains face down, and does not even try to look up. Cybil forcefully lifts the girl's shoulders up, and then her face freezes. The girl is the one that she was just traveling with. The girl's name suddenly rises up within her memory. Cheryl. Cheryl, why are you here? This is not Cheryl, this is Alessa. What the fuck is going on? Cybil carries Cheryl's small body and heads for the exit. Cheryl has suffered serious burns on her entire body. If they don't get out quickly, then not only Cheryl but Cybil as well will be burned to ash. Black smoke rises from Cheryl's white clothing. The girl's just barely conscious and her face is pale. Part of her hair is burned and her right cheek is red and swollen. Cybil sheds tears. The sounds of explosions resound from all directions and the floor shakes and rumbles. Cybil holds the burned girl close to protect her and runs. In order to save the faint life in front of her, Cybil risks her own life. Cybil devotes herself completely to her current goal, and she considers this to be her duty. Cybil avoids debris as she heads towards the exit. Where do you even know where the exit is? At the same time she thinks, the man she just saw, he seems to have just abandoned this girl. And if that is the case, Cybil finally arrives at the exit and places her foot on the white staircase that extends in front of her. And then she races up. From behind, the loudest explosion yet occurs. A sea of fire is just behind Cybil and is closing in on her. As she climbs the long staircase, Cybil has the goal of reaching the light coming from above the ground. Or perhaps she just senses that it is her last hope, so she runs stronger and faster up the stairs. Cybil glances down at Cheryl's face. Again, I hate that they are calling this Cheryl. The end. Just like that. I don't even know if I got the correct or the good ending in the Harry scenario either. That's also a thing. I don't know if we should go back and check some of the other options. But this is very, very strange. I always hoped this would add more lore, and it has added some. Problem is that I'm never sure what choices to make, or if they make that much of a difference. A lot of the time they don't mean anything, and you choose something and nothing happens with that, and it ends up doing the other choice anyway. Is there music or something? Oh, there is a little thingy. That guy is also from here, Gyromancy, the guy that made the port. Made a lot of things for the community and Silent Hill. Okay, that's very weird. Let's just try to see if I can load one of the... This is here between, just let's do the doll. Oh, there is a doll. It was a slightly dirty but familiar doll. Why familiar? Countless blue fireworks went off in front of Cybil's eyes. Blue fireworks, memories of the past, unforgettable memories. Memories that should have been tightly sealed away within her. She was holding the doll tightly. Cybil had hidden in the closet. Through the crack, a familiar scene. Her parents, shot in the head, and the blood-soaked carpet. What the fuck? The low laugh of a man. She held the doll over her mouth to suppress the urges to scream that assaulted her from time to time. And so she had somehow survived. She had survived. Why is the doll from that time here? Why? Why is it here? It was the reason she became a policewoman, that incident. That incident had largely impacted her future. Cheryl was gone, and all that was left was the unpleasant feeling of the memories she thought she had forgotten. Yet, how are you going to forget your parents being murdered? I'm losing my mind. She sobbed alone inside the elevator. Okay, the town, along with the lives of several people, had been swallowed up within the devil's dark garb. Inside the small box, she calmed down. Okay, can we just skip this and maybe go back to the same... This is... At least, I'm glad I went back here to get that little backstory for Cybil, but... I don't know if that's going to impact the ending. Skip. Okay, let's say now it's Harry. And it was unmistakably Harry. Harry! Bill's voice was a scream. Without backing away, she ran into the room, which had become hell-like. A piece of rubble, enveloped in flames, fell right in front of her. Yeah! Cybil had fallen back on her behind, but instantly stood up, moved around the obstacle, and proceeded further into the room. However, she had lost Harry. Fuck. Harry! She once again yelled out his name. Someone is collapsed at her feet. So it's Harry or no Harry, it's going to be the same again. A girl dressed in white clothing is lying face down, and her back moves up and down along with her breathing. Cybil stops and kneels down. Are you okay? If you stay here, you will be burned to death. Hurry and get up. So I guess it's gonna be the same ending anyway. That's very weird. That we should have, in some scenario, we should have found Harry again and run with him. The canonic shit. The canonic ending is not saving Alessa. Why is Cybil saving Alessa and calling her Cheryl? Well, cause she doesn't know anything. She hasn't run into Harry again or Dahlia again. Nobody has explained anything to her. That's very strange. It almost seems like rushed, like quickly put together to have like an alternate scenario, but it could have been better. It could have been more truth to the main story, more true to it, and I don't know. I guess they made it this way to make her more of a protagonist, to make Cybil protagonist, but they could have. She should have run into Harry again. Harry does run into her twice in his scenario, as he does in the main game, in the original game. It's like a very weird choice. What happens here? But okay, I guess it is what it is. I don't know if there's. I'm probably going to look for. Going to look it up and see if there's some different endings. I also don't know why I got a bad ending in the freaking arcade. I think I could swear I had like a happy one before. But I'm not even sure if I finished it. I might have seen a video of the endings, of the other endings. I don't even know what I've seen or what I've done. I haven't played. I had never finished this one. I think I have finished the arcade before. I never finished this scenario in this one. And only on Wednesday I played through the entire Harry scenario. Something that the actual game has is like some kind of trading cards or something that you collect. But I guess in this port they are gone. This port almost works as a glorified slideshow. I mean, it's great that Gyromancy managed to port the thing, but I guess he couldn't make the puzzles work. For example, there were no puzzles in the Cybil scenario, but in the Harry scenario there was at least 3 puzzles, and they just played as an animation and solved themselves instead of letting me play. Because I guess it's like a really tricky thing to do, something that more complex than just this kind of choose your own adventure thing. Well, I guess that's it for the play novel. If I find there is a way to get like very different content and a very different ending, I might play it again. For now, I'm probably not. I just played the Harry scenario and I just finished Cybil's. So that was it, I guess, for today's Silent Hill sort of double feature.